Hi friends, it's Olga. I am back to crafting and I'm bringing some good news today. I am renewing my annual 25 Days of Christmas tutorial series. Since we still have plenty of time until Christmas, I suggest that we start by creating some advent calendars. My advent calendar idea for this year is a Christmas village. That is a combination of a few houses, including a little church and a windmill, plus some pine trees to create a forest surrounding the village. And to make all of that, I'm going to use some paper discovery products that I have designed specifically for this purpose. Now let me show you the products really quick and then we'll start crafting. This one is called Advent Village die set and it's the one that I used to make all the houses. The next one is 3D Christmas tree die set and this one I used for all the trees in the village. The next one is called Advent Stars and Numbers die set, and here you see that we have all the numbers from 1 all the way to 31, and this way you can use this set for regular handmade calendars and you don't have to limit yourself to Advent calendars only. The next one is called Rustic Houses double stamp set. Double is because there are 2 sheets of stamps included with 48 stamps total, and this set coordinates perfectly with the houses die set, this one. Now let's start with the Advent Village. This set has 15 dies included, and as you can see, you can die cut the house-shaped box all at one go, and the rest of the dies are just add-ons to decorate your house. As always, you can find the list of all the products that I'm using with the links to online stores down below in the description box, as well as on my blog. Now let's do some die cutting. I'm going to die cut the main box shape out of pattern paper, and here I'm using a pretty neutral, almost solid pattern and the light color. The reason I've chosen this type of pattern is because I'm planning to add some stamping on top. If you are not planning to do any stamping, you can use busier pattern papers. I've die cut all the house shapes out of different pattern papers, and I basically used the leftovers from different pads. I'm planning to create 9 houses and the rest of the boxes are going to be trees. Before assembling the boxes, I'm going to decorate the houses, and I'll be using both the stamps and the dies just to show you different options that you have. Since there are so many stamps in the set, it's easy to get confused in the beginning. So what I suggest is to start with the bigger stamps, and those are basically the backgrounds. Then you can add the smaller details like windows and embellishments. So, the first building that I'm going to create is going to be a church, and I think I will use that brick panel stamp, and I'm going to simply stamp it at the bottom at all 4 sides of the box. Of course, if you want a wooden church, just use a different stamp according to your architectural preferences. For the next house, I'm going to use the vertical stripe background just to make it look a little bit different. I decided to go with the permanent inks. This way, if I decide to add some coloring later on, I'm not going to smudge the stamped images. And here's a little tip. The roof of the house is actually the lid of the box, so to stamp the side of the box, I'm simply folding down that roof part, then do my stamping. Then I can unfold the roof and it's going to remain clean this way. For the next house, I'm going to use the wood frame background. This one happens to be my favorite. I'm stamping the side where the roof is exactly the same way as I did before, and this time I'm also going to add the brick panel. Then I just keep on adding stamping using the largest background stamps first. I have to say that this stamp set provides a lot more options to create backgrounds than simply by using large background stamps. For instance, this little stamp is actually the cornerstones, and I'm simply stamping it at both sides of the house on all four sides. Then I'm simply adding more details. As you're getting familiar with this stamp set, it becomes easier and easier to use it. Here you see that I'm adding more and more decorative details to fill in the empty spaces. Another very useful stamp is that tile pattern, and I'm going to stamp it on both sections of the roof. Here I'm flipping over the pattern and repeating the stamping, and I'm going to do that for all 9 houses. Next, I'm going to color all the roofs red using Fired Brick Distress ink. I'm also going to use a new product by CraftStash, and this one is a set of blending mats. Those are clear. One mat is large and another one is small, and I'm simply tucking the large one behind the roof area, and I'm placing the small one on top of it to cover the house area, and this way only the roof will be exposed for inking. Then I'm simply applying the color with the sponge. This one is also by CraftStash, by the way. Then I will have to remove both mats, and I'll get the perfect coloring, and everything else except the roof is going to be totally clean. Now it's time to add smaller details like windows and doors. Some of the windows are stamped and colored with markers, and the rest of the windows are going to be the die-cut ones. The dies are also included in the house set. Each window is a combination of the frame and the background. So now I just have to choose the form that I like, and there are 4 different window shapes included in the set. For the church, I'll be using the Gothic ones, of course. By the way, the doors are the stamps plus the matching dies. The little clock is also the part of the stamp set. And now let's start assembling the box. The first thing that I have to do is to fold all the crease lines that are created by the die. Notice that the 2 bottom tabs also have the crease lines that you have to fold down. Since this box is meant for mass production, the assembly is extremely simple. You have to apply the glue on 3 tabs only. And the first one I'm applying the glue on is that vertical tab over there. Then I'm also applying the glue on the 2 tabs at the sides of the roof. This step is optional, by the way. You can leave those tabs without adhesive if you want to. Now when all adhesive is in place, we can assemble the bottom. So you will have to fold down the 2 tabs along those crease lines like that, and then you tuck in the tabs one by one, and if you do it correctly, you will only see the diagonal lines with no weird shapes at all, just like this. Closing the lid is extremely simple. You just have to tuck in that tab and you're done. You can open and close the box as many times as you want, and that's really convenient because you can create the advent calendar now and fill it in just before December starts. Now let's add some special features to some of the houses. So this little turret is also the part of the die set. I just have to glue down all the tabs, and then I'm going to use those 2 tabs to attach the turret to the top of the roof like that. This turret will come in handy if you want to turn the house into a church or a mansion. Now let's have a look at just some of the houses that I've made. I'll show you all of them at the end of the video. And by the way, creating a windmill is super simple. You just stick down the wings to the house. Now, as I mentioned, the remaining 15 boxes are going to be the pine trees, and for those I'll be using that 3D pine tree die set. That is also the part of the new collection. The trees are so much simpler than houses. All you have to do is to die cut the shape out of pattern paper and then assemble it. This shape is pretty straightforward. You just have to fold out the tabs, and again the crease lines are created by the die, and then you have to adhere those tabs correspondingly. I'll leave one side open so that I can add little gifts later on. The die set also contains the Christmas tree decorations, but since now I'm going for a pine forest look, I'll not be using them for this project. So here I am adding some quick drying liquid glue onto the tabs and sticking them down together. And by the way, the pattern papers that I used for the trees are also from the new Paper Discovery collection. Do check them out. Now my tree is nearly finished. One side is opened, as I mentioned, and all I have to do now is to add the numbers to the houses and the trees to turn it all into the Advent Village. The great thing about that die set is that you can die cut all the numbers at one go, so it takes just one pass through the die cutting machine and you don't have to die cut the repeating numbers many times. I've die cut all the numbers out of dark gray patterned paper, and now I'm just going to stick them down onto the houses as well as onto the trees. It would probably be a bit more convenient to stick them all down before assembling the boxes, but even this way it's no problem at all. And this is what the finished Advent calendar looks like. It's going to look fantastic if you put it on a shelf or on cabinet top or whatever. You can add artificial snow or just go without it. By the way, the size of each house is 1.5 by 3 inches, so this box is not big enough for a gift card, for example, but it's great for treats, for cosmetic samples, for jewelry and other cute small things like that. So that was the first project of my holiday series. 24 more are coming out soon, so keep an eye for them. As always, don't hesitate to ask me any questions. I wish you all a wonderful week and I hope to see you again soon. Bye bye!